Welcome to Buzz and Bark. My name is Patricia, and remember to like, share, and comment, and subscribe. And if you're new here, you might want to watch the whole video before you do that. So, today I'm going to do Reiki for all wild animals and animals in sanctuaries and preserves and that sort of thing, especially with a focus on wild animals. Could be urban wild animals as well. And the reason why I'm doing this is, one, it's Leo season and it's a time of generosity and opening the heart and working with the heart chakra. So we're going to do some work on that with the Reiki. And the other one is because it's been brought to my attention that there is a white lion sanctuary, or I think it's more of a preserve actually, in I think it's South Africa or Southeast Africa. It's called Bimbavati, and there's a lion there that named Nebu, and Nebu I've been doing animal communication with Nebu, and also sending the Gayatri mantra, which is the master mantra of all mantras, I think. And this all came about because of the Archangel Raphael group community on School, and Kelly Kolodny, who channels Archangel Raphael, and she's got this whole Lionsgate thing going on. And so it reminded me of when I was a child, and I loved that movie Born Free because I was, growing up in the 70s. And I think it came out in the early 70s, and I remember that song, and I just remember crying like crazy and really getting into lions when I was a kid. And lions are one of those animals that really represents, because they're called the king of the forest, right? The king of the jungle. So they represent like all of wildlife, and they represent, the wild kingdoms. There used to be a TV show called The Wild Kingdom. But they represent that ecology, right? From the smallest insect and, all of these, even bacteria, like all these things that are in the soil that make the plants grow, and the minerals, and like everything that is part of this greater collective. And in the wild, when it's done without human intervention, everything plays a role. And what humans have done is humans have gone in and they kill, right? And then they end up moving certain species of plants or animals to places where they don't belong. And they sort of play this godlike role in a negative way, right? They think that they know more. It's an arrogance, to human arrogance that has affected us. And so the Reiki that I'm going to do today, I'm going to do it to this lion Nebu and all lions and all wildlife, so that, because there's a lot of people doing this. It's not just me. There's people, healers all over the world that are sending energy out and doing grid work, and they're doing all kinds of work. And I want to think like these tens of hundreds of thousands of healers all over the world doing their own thing in isolation or with groups, or thinking that their work doesn't matter, but it does, because the more of us who do this, the better off we're all going to be, because we need to get back into balance. And if we don't get back into balance, these big earthquakes, these floods, these fires, these things that people are suffering from right now are going to continue, and they're going to get worse. The last thing I just want to use as an example is there was an earthquake in Texas. There's been an earthquake in Venezuela. Both of those places have oil drilling, right? And Texas was, I believe, the place in the United States where they first found oil. I mean, there may have been other places, but I think that was the place. And then, of course, that led to the whole thing with cars and, gas just flowing freely, even though it comes from Mother Earth. And the oil from the earth, as we all know, comes from fossil fuels. Well, fossil fuels are things that have been fossilized underneath the earth, right? And then there's only so much of it. And it's there for a purpose, and that purpose isn't for humans to exploit. The oil that people use, to make products and everything else, that is the blood of Mother Earth. And Mother Earth, and I have seen this just on my own walks, Mother Earth has had enough. right? I'm seeing a lot of spiky weeds, with thorns and things on them that I haven't seen so much of before. And I see that as a symbol that Mother Earth has boundaries and she's going to exert them, and she's already exerting them. So the whole thing with this lion is that we need to honor the natural world. And I have known this my whole life, and unfortunately I have been co-opted into society and the adults around me and all these other things, that this is how we live on the planet, right? We drive, we do this, we do that, we eat these foods that aren't real food, we do all these things, and it's damaging us, it's damaging the earth, and people are throwing their hands up and wondering why they're sick. And they're wondering all these things, where all they have to do is look back to the fact that we're out of balance. Now Reiki brings us back into balance. Energy healing, sound baths, sound healing, all of these practices that we've been doing are bringing us back into balance. But it's not enough to just go and do the healings, right? Or to even become a healer. We actually need to make lifestyle changes, and they have to happen quickly. Now, in the past, you could do things step by step and, kind of do the more comfortable route, but we don't have that option anymore. So if there's anything that you can do in your life to put less burden on the planet, then adopt that immediately. And then eventually you'll be led to other things. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I've been over the years just speaking up for the earth, like eat organic, do this, do that. And then it's just been on deaf ears because people don't want to spend money. Well, money is kind of, where you spend it creates more of it, of the thing that you're spending it on, right? So if you're spending it on something sustainable, that money helps those companies and those people to make more of whatever it is. And when they make more of it, when there's greater volume of it, it comes less expensive. But we also don't want these big mega organic farms, because they end up being just a step away from conventional farms, and they can be very polluting, and they can get whether this, you get a lot of E. coli and all these other things from these, I'm not going to mention the farm that I'm thinking of, but it's in Salinas Valley. But yeah, so those are the things that we need to do. So Reiki is great, and I enjoy doing these remote Reiki, but it isn't enough for me just to sit here and send the Reiki. What I intend is that this Reiki wake everybody up that watches it to a new level. So you may already be awake at one level, but then we're always making changes in our lives. Like every day we can make a new change. And humans don't like change, but if we don't do this ourselves proactively, then the earth is going to do it for us. And so we're either going to go the easier route, or we're going to go the very big suffering route. And I'm really getting these messages strongly, and I need to, I was going to get some lapis lazuli. I need to go grab some lapis lazuli. I'll be back. Yeah, I had to go grab my lapis lazuli, which is this. And I'm doing this. I have two stones that are really for the Leo season, which ends in, it goes to about the 22nd or the 21st, around that time of August. So we've got like 4 weeks of that. And I have a sunstone. I don't remember what this is called, maybe scodolite or something like that, but I needed a white stone. And I have my master crystal, which charges all the other crystals and also clears a space and does a whole bunch of different things. I got this actually, I call it the community crystal because it's got like inclusions, and it's just gorgeous. Anyways, I got this in, it was in Vermont, southern Vermont. And the place had such a strange name that I can never remember it until I get off the computer, and then I go, oh yeah, it was like so-and-so place. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But it's not very far from Brattleboro and Putney. If you've ever been to Vermont, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll know it's like a little town, and it has like Bellows Falls. That's the name of it, Bellows Falls. Finally remembered it online. So I've got my flute, I've got some chimes, I've got a few things here that I'm going to use in the Reiki. I don't have my surrogate with me, so I'm just going to probably just use myself or just do this. And the Reiki will be intended for wild animals and to bring peace and balance to them, and to bring their ecosystem back into balance. It's just, again, one drop of water in the ocean, and then there's all the other healers around the planet who are doing similar work, and so this is a collective effort, even though I'm the one on the camera right now. And the last thing I want to talk about really quick is the difference between, because this is a really big part of my animal communication and Reiki business, which is buzz and bark animals, or buzz and bark animal Reiki, is stewardship and ownership. So I know that, so vets and, governments and all these different regulatory type situations, when you register your pet and all the rest of that, you're called an owner. But you're not an owner, you're a guardian, or you're an earth steward. You're a steward of that animal. So animals choose us, we don't choose them. So even if we go to a breeder, there was a bit of synchronicity and dreams and different things that happen sometimes on a subconscious level, like, I really need to get a cat, or I want a cat, or you see a video, you fall in love with a particular breed of a cat or a dog or a rabbit or whatever it is. And then the synchronicity starts, and you run into somebody who happens to have puppies or kittens or, bunnies or whatever it is. And then you end up getting this pet. And once you bring that animal into your life, it's like a karmic cycle in a way, because they're teaching you and you're teaching them, and there's an exchange. And if you don't get it, like even on a subconscious level, if you take it for granted, or if you end up being neglectful or abusive or whatever toward this animal without even sometimes knowing that you're doing it, then what will happen is that animal will disappear. It will die, it will run away, or somebody else will take it. Because we can't own an animal. They're not possessions. And I learned this lesson just by watching my own family, and also other people like neighbors and just different people, and the way that these animals are just not respected and not appreciated on the big level that they're offering us, because they are free. Well, I mean, they're not free to have them, but the teachings that they give us, if we're humble enough to receive it, are priceless. You could probably go to college for, get your master's, get all these other things, but what you're going to get from an animal is way more precious than any degree you're going to get. And usually we get a degree because we want a career so we can make money, and then we're living in this societal pattern, whereas animals don't offer us that. Animals do not live in that world. They live in a world of, I mean, when I started learning Buddhism, it dawned on me like how much animals are Buddhist. I mean, you may not call it that. They don't go to temples. I mean, they don't do all those Buddhist things, but they are like earth angels, where they come, and even in their tragedies, they're still teaching us. But again, we have to be humble. We need to, be in integrity. We need to be in this space to be open with our hearts and our minds to learn from them. And that means that we don't own them, we steward them. So we're basically you could say they're caregivers, right? But they're also our caregivers. There's an exchange that's happening, and if there's not an exchange that's happening, then it's not a good relationship. So in that case, maybe, it's not the right time to have an animal. Even though animals come into our lives, sometimes it ends up being an aborted effort, because they come into our life, but the timing's off, we're not ready. It's like relationships. So you could meet somebody who maybe becomes your partner for a very short time because you're not ready for it, or they're not ready for it, or there's too much selfishness happening, or there's too much what about me, and that generosity and that giving and that stewardship isn't there. So stewardships can be any part of our lives. Stewardship can be of our home, of our community, of the earth, of animals, of our family members, you know, like parents with children. You don't own those children. You're stewarding them. You're leading them on a journey as they're learning, and hopefully you're not teaching them things that will be destructive to them. And that's why we need to all work on ourselves. It's not about laying guilt on people. It's not about shaming people. It's about working on ourselves. And it's about, you know, becoming humble. And if we don't do that, what happens is we get these animals that have these horrible behavioral issues, because what they're doing is they are projecting our stuff. It's not their stuff. It's our stuff. And they're making themselves humble teachers. And they're bringing us to our knees, because some of those behaviors are just, you know, you're just going completely insane, such as the chewing, you know, the digging, the peeing in the house, the aggressiveness, the separation anxiety. Like, all of these things will challenge us. But when they're challenging us, you know, we go and we get trainers and we get all these other people to come on board and to help us on this journey. We don't have to do it alone. And once we understand what they're teaching us, those behaviors will stop. So that is what I wanted to use as a teaching today, to share as a teaching today. And now I'm going to do the Reiki. So this is my favorite part anyways, because I can talk all day and not everybody wants to listen to me. So I'm calling on like the archangels of the 6 directions. I'm calling on your spirit guides, my spirit guides. I'm calling on the lion Nebu, because she wants to be part of this. And I think her name is short for Nebula, which I love that. You know, being interested in astronomy and astrology, which is an understatement. Okay, so now I'm just asking them to clear the space. I'm bringing in some violet flame energy. Now, some of you will be familiar with it, some of you won't. I'm not checking the chakras today, because I'm mainly going to be working on the heart chakra, and I'm intending that this Reiki just clear all the chakras. That way I don't have to do the pendulum and all the rest of that. Okay, so I'm going to start out with this tuning fork. It is, I believe, 50 hertz. So this is very calming, very grounding, and so we're going to start with that. So take some deep breaths. You can let it out with a sigh. I'm using myself as a surrogate. This is a nerve fork. It also helps calm nerves, and it helps with bones. Especially when I ended up fracturing my ankle when I was in Pennsylvania. And I use this thing every day on it. Okay. Yeah, bring in that sunstone. You know what? I gotta take this jacket off, because it's hindering my shoulders. I can't move my shoulders, so I can't do the Reiki. Okay, so we start with the sunstone. Okay, this is for the heart, to open the heart, to send some light into the heart, and also to open the crown chakra, because I think lions also are the crown, you know, with the manes and on the male lines and all of that. So I'm just sending in like really powerful light into your heart and into the top of your head. I'm using myself as a surrogate. Bringing it in clockwise, because clockwise is bringing some energy in, counterclockwise is sending it out. Okay, it might look backwards on your end, but other stone you can use is rose quartz. Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to bring in the cosmos. I'm bringing the stars with the lapis lazuli. This is kind of more of an Aquarius energy. And Nebu actually told me to use the lapis lazuli. Okay, the other thing is, today at some point, go watch like a video short, if you can, with a lion roaring. You need to hear a lion roaring. They told me that I need to do this today as well, so sometime during your day. The other one is to go listen to bees buzzing. You can listen to them outdoors, you can listen to them like on YouTube or wherever. So the bees buzzing, the lion roaring, you can also do the wolf howling if you can handle that. I love wolf howling. Or you can do the cat purring. So those are the ones that you could do, but definitely do the lion roaring. Those are gifts that they offer us. And may the Reiki go wherever it's needed for highest and best. If you're sitting, and ground your feet into the ground, the soles of your feet. If you're barefoot, even better. And remember, your animals need to be able to come out of the space and in the space so that they can process the Reiki. Oh, and what I'm offering is, this is crystal Reiki. Usually I do more of the Asui Reiki, kind of modified for a video, a remote Reiki session, but today we're doing crystal Reiki, and I do crystal Reiki too, but today it's really emphasized on the crystals. This one is for clarity of the, again, this is the top of the head, the crown chakra. Using myself again as a surrogate, so you close that window just a second. Okay. And now I'm going to do some earth chime. With air chime. and then fire and water. This is so that we have balance. Okay, so I'm going to end this session, and I want all of us to picture some really grand trees. It can be a baobab, it could be a Bodhi tree, it could be an oak tree, cedar tree, whatever. Like old growth, right? Huge tree that's so big that there's no way you can get your arms around it. And then I want you to visualize yourself melding with this tree and your feet on the earth. And then these roots are going to come out of your base of your spine and also the bottoms, the soles of your feet. And they're going to go meld with the root system of the tree that you're visualizing. And you're going to pull that down into the earth as far as you can go. And then at the very base in the center of the earth is a giant crystal. I mean, this type of crystal, but enormous. And you're going to latch your roots onto that. And then you're going to pull up this peaceful, loving energy of the earth, not the one with the thorns, not the ones. And you're going to ask the earth to be your teacher so that you can be part of the healing of the planet rather than the destruction of the planet. And ask for guidance of what role you can play and what you can do to steward your animals in your own life, but also all the animals on the planet. So let's just pull that energy up from the core of Mother Earth. And then we're going to take it up through all of our chakras, way, way up into the stars. And then we're going to bring in the light from the stars. And we're going to anchor all of this, the earth and the stars, in our heart chakra. And that's going to open our heart chakra. And again, we'll just bring the cosmos and the heart together here. Okay. A little bit more bass for grounding. Because this is a very, very low tone. Even if you can't hear it, I intend that you can feel it. You might feel tingling in your soles of your feet or your lower part of your body. Okay, so I'm just clearing out any excess from our chakras. I'm intending to balance and activate all of our chakras, even the ones I don't usually mention. And remember to drink a glass of water and to keep your pets hydrated. Okay. The session is closed for the highest and best. May the Reiki only go where it's needed for highest and best. I'm going to end with flute, but before I do that, I just wanted to mention, remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment, especially if you feel like this is important work. And what was the other thing that I was gonna, there was one more thing that was just on the top of my brain and I don't remember. Oh, okay, so what I want to do in the community section of this YouTube channel is, if you represent a nonprofit for animal welfare or animal advocacy or sanctuary or something like that, then I'm going to put a section where you can put like the link to this organization. Now, this is not really advertising. It's about building a community of nonprofits. Like, I'll put some on there myself, and you can look into them, or anybody viewing this channel, which at this point isn't very many people, unfortunately. You can help with that, actually, by bringing people here and commenting and liking, not because my ego wants to be liked, but this channel needs to have some sort of a push forward. You know, it's a lot of work, and sometimes I feel like giving up, but I don't. I just keep going. But I have to ask for the help of a collective, because this is not something I can do alone. So If you feel it in your heart and you're actually logged on to YouTube and you can do that, that's great, because a lot of times we're not logged on, so we can't like or share or do any of those things. But if you could log on and do that, that would be great. I understand why people don't, but we're really not helping anybody either when we do that. So we'll have the nonprofits in there, and it's so that we can look at them, and if there's one that's calling to our heart, then we can make donations. Now, you also want to look into the ones that aren't going to send you, like, put you on mailing list and all the rest of that, because that just adds more garbage to the planet, because then there's all these things, paper and everything else. So we want to really find the ones that are more responsible. Or if they do send something out, maybe it's once a year, and that they don't sell your name to another nonprofit. So that's the thing that I always ask is, are you selling my name and my information to another nonprofit? Because I'm donating to you, that doesn't mean I want to donate to 100 others, right? So we each get to choose like one or two that we want to do. Now, some people want to do more than that, that's fine. But ask them ahead of time before you donate. It's like, are you going to sell my name and my contact information to someone else? Because trying to get off those lists is really difficult, and I don't feel like they're doing anybody a favor. They're making a little bit of money off of that, but they're actually kind of making a nuisance for the people who are opening their hearts and sharing their donations and things like that. Now, the other thing you can do too is if those nonprofits are in your area and you want to volunteer at them, then you could go to their website and find out how to do that. So these are ways that you can help out. Other ways are changing your diet. I'm not telling you to be vegan, but highly processed foods, and you got to look into where your food comes from. And if you feel comfortable with where your food comes from, then I sometimes have to question it, but to at least not be ignorant, right? At least do the chain. Go back. Where does my food come from? Where is it grown? How is it grown? What are the practices? Are the animals, especially, are they being treated like for profit as a commodity, or are they being treated as living beings? For they are sentient beings, and they have feelings, they have sense of family just like we do. They have a lot of the same qualities we do. We are mammals, just like the mammals, like the animals. We're animals too. And so what we do to them, we do to ourselves. So we really need to wake up, ask those really tough questions. And I'm not going to give a speech or anything here, but we really have reached that part where we've had the warnings for centuries, really, of the way that we've been living on the planet, and all we did was progress more and more and more into more destructive behaviors, and then patting ourselves on the back and saying, this is great, this is good government, this is good corporate whatever, this is how we live our lives. And where we put our money, because a lot of times people right now don't have a lot of extra money, right? And some people do, some people don't. So it doesn't matter whether you're wealthy or whether you're not. Where are you putting your money? What are you plugging into? Because that has a rippling effect, whether we like it or not. And we share this planet, and the way we treat the planet is karmically going to come back to us. And if there's a big area, like the United States, for instance, that ends up being very destructive, then there will be more things happening in the United States, or if it's Canada, or if it's China, or wherever it is, it's going to come back. So what you put into the well, eventually you're going to drink. And so we have to be more aware of that, and I think this is why the wild animals wanted to have the Reiki for today, because a lot of the times with the Reiki and animal communication, it's usually focused on people's pets, which is nothing wrong with that. There are people who do focus on just wildlife. And we're all in this together. We're all part of the same collective. We're a drop in the ocean. We might think we're bigger than that or better than that because we have more money or we have bigger cars or whatever it is. But in the end, we're all spirit. We all return to spirit. And some, Buddhism says that we're awareness, and that we return to awareness, right? And so how aware are we? And what is the anyways, I'm going to end with the St. Francis prayer, because I brought in Buddhism, I might as well bring in, the Franciscan Christianity as well. And then I'm going to play flute, and then I'm going to send you on your happy way. Remember to drink that water, and to give water to your pets, and to give your pets a hug or whatever it is. Maybe they don't like hugs, but whatever it is, give them some affection because they deserve it. And may you have a wonderful and peaceful week bonding with your pets. And here's the prayer. Dear Lord, or Goddess, please make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, sow love. Where there's ignorance, sow wisdom. Where there's despair, sow hope. Where there's darkness, sow light. And where there's sadness, sow joy. O Divine Master, grant not so much I be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love, or to be consoled as to console. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. It is dying that we are born into eternal life. Amen. And then for Buddhism, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a wonderful week.